That was a little bit of an unusual game for us. I thought that I'll start with offense. We made some big plays. Going into the game, we knew with this style of defense that there would be times they would get us and put us into some negative yardage plays, but then there would be times that we would get them. But the negative yardage plays were too many, and we didn't protect very well. I think we run blocked pretty well at times without looking at the tape, but our protections weren't very good. We got in too many situations where we put pressure on Taylor and forced him to run out of the pocket. So without watching the tape, that was a big factor offensively, was just not being able to protect and get the ball thrown down the field. There were some times we had some chances. We dropped a pass here or there that we sure would like to have back. Defensively, we're giving up too many big plays. We can't allow that many big plays and expect to win games, much less in conference. So we kind of got to regroup a little bit and try to make the best decisions with the personnel that we have and in what direction we're going to try to minimize the big plays more so than what we're doing. There was a lot more quarterback run than what we had anticipated. No, that's neither here nor there, but we adjusted to that as the game went. But ultimately, it came down to big plays, and so we've got to be better in those situations. We had a couple errors in special teams. We dropped a punt. We had momentum, had a touchdown, went right down the field, stopped them a couple times, dropped a punt in the end zone. Zach's a veteran guy. He's got to be able to make that play. I don't know what else you say other than just he's got to execute. Lost a little bit of momentum there. But even throughout the day, we had 9 penalties for 87 yards. That's 40 yards too many, at least. We had a horse collar on the sideline. We had a couple holding calls by the offensive lineman. We had one call on Bundage. I'm not sure what the call was, even now. But regardless, we have to be more disciplined in the penalty area. We're not good enough to overcome large numbers of penalties or penalty yards, I should say. So, it's college football. We've got to get back to work in the morning and come up with a good plan. We've got to travel on the road again and got to get ready to play. So that's the message I gave the guys, just so you guys will know. I said, look, here's the deal. You guys need to get you something to eat, spend some time with your families. You need to get in your apartment or your dorm, wherever you live, and get you some rest. You got to come back tomorrow with an open mind, and got to give Iowa State credit. They're well coached. They've been hanging around every game for the last 2 or 3 years, not just with us, but with just about everybody in this conference. And so they've become a good team in this conference, and they do a great job. So when you put yourself in that position, eventually it's gonna benefit them, and that's what it did. So they've been in every game they played this year. They've been right there to the end. We were just the ones that couldn't overcome it. So with that being said, for myself and for everybody, we got to get back in the morning and go back to work.
Mike, they hadn't been a team that got a ton of sacks this year. They had more today than they'd had in the first 5 games of the year. Obviously, you mentioned that affected Taylor and his rhythm and his passing, but what happened there? I mean, did you feel like they were showing stuff they hadn't shown? The offensive line just didn't play well. What happened with the sacks?
They didn't do anything that we hadn't practiced. I wish I could say that, but it wasn't. We did not protect. We got off balance at times. We didn't do a good job of cylindering up the defensive guy and getting our hands and sinking our hips. Actually did a better job in the fourth quarter in an all-pass situation than we did throughout the game when we weren't in an all-pass situation. So the only thing I can say is that we need to do a better job of it. Maybe we need to allot more time in those areas. But ironically, that has not been an issue for us. The run blocking, I think we run blocked decent today, but our protection's been okay at times. So, but we certainly weren't very good today.
At the start of the game, the defense started off strong with that Trey Carter sack, and then things kind of turned around when they put in the other quarterback. How different do you think the game would have been if they kept in the starting quarterback instead of Brock Purdy?
The guy that started, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I'm sorry. If they kept in, just basically how much of a difference do you think Brock Purdy made for Iowa State?
I thought he ran the ball well, and I thought he maneuvered, made some plays. But I'll say, that, I mean, we dropped coverage, and when, he made plays and did a good job. The quarterback run took us a little while to get adjusted to that. But, he's throwing down the field to guys that dropped coverage. And so I think it was more about us, okay, defensively. But I don't want to take anything away from what he did. Okay, I think he instigated some of it by his ability to make some runs, and he was pretty savvy in the game. There were several times, I say several, 2 or 3 times we had him and he pump faked. We jumped off the ground a couple times on third downs. That's just being undisciplined on our part. We've got to be better in that area. So I think you say you meet halfway in the middle. I thought he did a really nice job, but we also have to be better than that.
How did you feel about Taylor's performance?
I'll have a hard time giving an answer because I was running for his life. I'm just going to be honest with you. I could probably give you a better answer Monday. It's not easy to play quarterback and throw the ball when you're running for your life. That's just the way it is. So I'll give you probably a better answer Monday, but I'm just going to say that you start the game and you're running probably 5 out of the first 7 attempts for the most part. And then you really have to be disciplined and structured to say, I'm going to set in here and be able to see things downfield without feeling like I have to take off and run. So in all fairness, I'm going to say that he probably didn't have the best opportunity, would be my guess.
Mike, you said a couple weeks ago in the loss to Tech, you were outplayed, outcoached. They wanted it more and so forth. Did you sense that same feeling today against Iowa State as you did against Texas Tech?
I don't think I felt that way. I think they had a good plan. I think the quarterback run caught us off guard a little bit. We had to adjust, but we gave up too many big plays on defense. Offensively, we got our plays, but you can't have that many negative yardage plays, okay? And without watching the tape, we're getting whipped in pass protection. So I don't feel the same way, to answer your question, but there are some similarities just based on functioning. So what we have to do starts with me. We have to say, where are the problems? I know this sounds elementary, but it is what it is. Are we overestimating what our abilities are in certain areas? Do we need to minimize? What do we need to do as coaches? And we need to figure that out really quick and try to implement that plan starting on Tuesday.
Mike, to hear you say that after 6 games in, it sounds like there's going to be some real soul-searching, deep evaluation of where this team is. Is that sort of what you're alluding to?
I don't know about soul-searching, but I think the first thing that we have to do as coaches is we have to say, okay, who are we? And we're playing with some youth on defense, and at times they're getting their eyes violated in reads. So maybe we need to look and say, okay, what can we actually have success at? And as players, as a coach, we need to put the players in a position to have the most success. And without watching the tape, it'd be hard for me to get into a lot of detail there. But I will say this, as in my position, we'll do it in all 3 phases, okay? Special teams-wise, I don't think we punted the ball very well today. Got frustrated one time. We had some confusion on alignment, had to burn a timeout. Those things irritate me based on we needed our timeouts at the end of the game. So other than that and dropping the snap, we had some better returns. We were a much better kickoff return team, which was good. So, we just have to look at everything. And the truth of the matter is this. When you come up short, you start looking at things way more in detail than you do when you win. And it's always been that way. There's been times that we've won games here and made mistakes. Guys made plays and we won. So there's not any overreaction here, but like any company, you got to start, see what the issues are, which ones can we change, which ones can we help, how much do we just need to get better, and keep rolling.
You have several injured players come back, and Calvin Bundage, Stoner, Rodriguez. Did they seem to be full strength to you today?
I think all of them did, other than 20. I don't know that 20 was full speed, but I thought Calvin moved around pretty good. I think Stoner moved around pretty good. So I would say 2 of the 3 without talking to the doctors.
What's Arlington Hambright's situation?
He's injured.
You're at this point of the season and you're talking about discipline as much as you have over the last few weeks. How difficult is that to actually address and try to turn around that type of a trend that's been going on this long?
The discipline aspect, it's like, you have any kids yet? Yeah. Okay, so it's like when you train your kid at home and they leave the house and they go stay the night with a friend, you want them to, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, take your plate, put it in the sink. Don't be disruptive at other people's houses. When they leave, you want those people to say, hey, I'd like to have that kid come over again. Oh, Scott's kid, hey, they can come anytime. Not that, I don't ever want that kid to come back to my house. That's the way it is with discipline with me as a head coach. Those things keep me up at night because sometimes you're going to lose a game. Sometimes the other team gets to coach, the other team gets to play. But when you make mistakes by not being disciplined and structured, those things wear on me because that's really falls on my shoulders right now. So I want to be disciplined and structured and the little things. And it wasn't out of the ordinary today, but it's more than what we need here to function and to have success in the games. And so the reason I continue to say it is because that's what I believe. We could get into detail on a lot of different things, but ultimately, we've had a lot of success around here by being a disciplined team. We weren't a heavily penalized team. When guys are scrambling, we don't jump off the ground and then let them run for 9 yards and get a first down. We haven't done things like that, okay? Offensively, we've been pretty sound in protection. We didn't turn a lot of guys loose. So those are the things that we have to improve on. But I will say this again, as I'm repeating myself. Sometimes when you lose games, you get to looking more and you see things happen. And we're not going to do that, but we are going to try to identify what we can correct and improve and work the best that we can to make it better by next Saturday.
Does it surprise you that things like the penalties, I think 3 of them were false starts, pre-snap, things like that, that at the halfway point of the season, you're still
Got no idea why that happened. That's the same question I had. And those are things, Mark, we've been doing that forever. And 2 of them were by a guy that's been playing forever for us. So I wish I could give you an answer. And that's where we have to really be detailed as coaches. We have to look and say, why is this happening? Is there a solution? Or are we just, sometimes the players drop the ball. Sometimes the coaches drop the ball. Sometimes we both do. And we have to identify what the issues are and be honest with ourselves. See, you have to accept the good and you have to accept the bad. That's what we have to do in life, right? It's my fault. Okay, maybe it's the player's fault, but then maybe we're overloading them. So we got to look at it, and then we got to get over it really fast, put a plan in, and go back to work. I don't want to make it sound simple, but really it kind of comes to that.
Do you feel the defense was sort of pressing tonight or today where, like you mentioned, jumping for like a pump fake and whatnot as opposed to, trying to make the big play as opposed to, just making the play to stop it up there? Just your thoughts on that?
Could be, but they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. In those situations, and I'm just kind of using those as an example because they were a couple 3rd and longs. Yeah, you didn't need to do it, right? I mean, you all watch football all the time. Just stay on the ground and contain the guy, and they punt. There's no need to do, and you might be right. I mean, why go after a big play here? It's 3rd and 9. So, and I'm not picking on Bundy's. I'm just giving you an example. But what you said is a good question. You could be right on top of that.
Do you feel as A.J. Green or Darius Williams not so much regressed, but haven't really improved throughout the course of the season?
They've played about the same. Again, without watching the tape. Late, what's interesting is late they played better. Earlier in the game, in the second quarter-ish and all that, I didn't think they played well. But as I haven't watched the tape, and I can watch offense. I pretty much know what happens without watching the tape. Defensively, it's not that way because that's not the world I live in. But we need to look at that. We need to see where they're at and what we can do to help them. Anything else?
How much did it hurt your offense? 16 seconds left, you get the ball close to midfield going into the half. How much did it hurt to not put some points on the board right there.
Well, it hurt us whatever we could have done. Should have picked up 3, right? You would have liked to have picked up 3. They were in a 3-man rush. We called a draw, which I know is not real favorable with everybody, but it's a great play when you have a back like we do. We didn't. The left guard didn't come off on the backer. So you got a 3-man rush. You basically have one linebacker in there, and without watching tape, we hung on the nose too long, didn't come off on the backer, and so 5 is bouncing around trying to make a play. If we come off on the backer and we pop through there, we're going to like it a lot more. But it didn't work. So those are the things that, in my opinion, where the discipline, things that bother me, we've got to improve on that.
Thanks, Coach.
Good? Yeah. Okay.